So Chris, how are you doing?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
Yeah, we've got some good information to share with folks today, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. I've just been a little on the short side of trying to get it all together.
Well, these have been very informative. I've really enjoyed these sessions, and
Good.
I've been trying to get the word out to my cohorts about how beneficial they are and how learning, a lot what can be learned from them. So a lot
Yeah.
of nice diversity and presentations and what's being offered. So it's good information.
Good. Rick is down there by the coast of Texas. Guess you recognize where he's sitting there. Richard, Rick, you're muted.
Sorry, yeah, I was muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite this close to the Gulf, but it makes me think I am.
Yeah, exactly. So I make sure I'm not missing anybody yet. No one else showed up. If you'd like to go around the room and introduce yourselves, I've got to step out of the room for just a second. I'll be right back. If you want to unmute and say hi to each other.
Well, I'll start. My name is Chris Fredrick, and I'm with the Kansas Department of Commerce, and I am the in-state business development project manager for the Northwest region of the state. So it's good to be here and welcome.
I guess I'll go next. I'm Rick Slater, recently retired after 31 years with NASA down here in Houston, Texas. I spent all but I think the last 4 years in the technical area in various different roles. The last 4 roles, I moved over into the small business area, and there were just 3 of us here at the center. In fact, the entire agency only has 20 small business specialists. And I began working with, I was rep to the Small Business Council and the Large Prime Council. And I was the one who primarily met with all the reps, and I did probably more than half of the events that we had here at the center. And I actually was up to an event that you folks had up at the University of Kansas a year and a half ago. And I think I had to give a couple of presentations. And that's where I met Alan and others from the group up there. And so about the time we were beginning to talk this past fall, and I mentioned I was leaving. And so we arranged to have me come and do some consulting with them. And so that's what I'm doing now. And there were a couple of initiatives on sort of an advanced way of doing matchmaking and joint counseling. And he liked that a lot. And so that's part of what we're beginning to put together for what we're calling the NASA track. Although, to be honest with you, it'll be the NASA and all other agencies except DOD track. And in doing that, we're going to bring speakers in who have been successful in getting contracts to talk about how it works. Next week, I'm actually going to give one on how NASA is structured, how you can connect with them, where the opportunities, how you can find opportunities. And one of the biggest things is how you can make contact with each one of the centers. So that's what we're doing, and we're kind of excited. We think it's going to be a pretty good track. And I'm actually really excited because I'm starting to work with a lot of people that I never worked with before. And so I'm kind of excited about it.
I'll jump in. I'm Dupuis with a Wichita, Kansas company called Elevated Health Systems, and I'm a founder and an inventor of a technology. It's automated germicidal light, And we're hearing a lot about germicidal light now with the pandemic and all. I've been at it a good while. So we're trying to, the patents cover sensors and computerized controls. So when you put those three things together, there's just a wide array of products that are possible in different industries at different sizes. But we have one product we're trying to enter the market with, and it's in UL testing today. So that's been a little benchmark. And I really appreciate all the work that each of you are doing in business development. I learned so much.
And your microphone sounds a little strange. I don't know if there's something up with it, or I just kind of get, because if you chat it a little bit.
If I get closer in, does that help?
Yeah, that helps.
Okay, I'll lean in a little bit.
It was sounding a little strange, and I'm not sure if everybody got that, but hopefully they did. Good. Karl?
Yeah. So I'm Karl Watson. I live in Topeka, Kansas. I was on this call last week, just kind of listening in, and it was a good call. And I think, is this the same as last week's, or is this a different group?
This is so you came in on Lori Piper's, right? On the and Karl Klein. They're doing our lunch and learn like this every fourth or the last Friday of the month. So
well,
this one,
I thought. And then,
this one won't be
on my calendar. So
we're actually going to change that in order to eliminate or reduce confusion, possibly. What they're going to do is they're going to go back and open up. Just a second, Bill. I'm going to make you co-host. That way, if you'll kind of be watching in case anyone, as the participants show up, because I've got a cold going on, a little bit of cloud in my brain. Besides the fact that you remember you guys remember a long time ago the I don't know if it was Garfield or no, it was Ziggy, and he said, "How come there's always so much month left at the end of my money?" For me, it's how come there's so much week left at the end of my brain. I'm like, the brain stopped about 2 days ago, I think. But so Karl,
Alan, it is Friday, so you're kind of in sync here. So end of the week, unless you're going to work over the weekend like some of us. But
I think I'm going to have to do some hit some NyQuil or something and just do some resting. See if that'll help. But to your point, what we're going to try to do is we're going to set up a new registration for the general commercialization track that Lori Piper and Karl are doing in the Bright Center. What we're doing, and the reason why there's probably a smaller group now, we'll see if we get a lot more. We have not been publicizing this track yet because we've been working to get things ready, and you'll see why in a few minutes. But if you want to hang on, we'd love to have you, because we're going to be chatting about survey results and what we're about to get started doing. And the more you folks tell others, the better it'll be as far as that goes.
I'm hearing a lot of commercialization. Is that kind of the theme?
Exactly.
All right. Well, that fits perfect with me, because I'm the chairperson for SCORE here in Topeka, which is free mentoring to help businesses get started up. And one of our outreach activities is over to Junction City, and we're trying to figure out how to possibly retain some of the people coming out of the military and put them into cybersecurity development companies that they run. And so I've been hearing a lot of pieces of this, but more from I'm a small business owner, developer, and how can we turn some of those ideas into money? So I'll listen very carefully. I know how hard it is to do. I've been watching this segment for 25 years, and it just, you know, KU and K-State and the military have all this stuff that needs to be commercialized, but it's just so dang hard to do. And
well, I'm very glad you're on then, because
okay.
hopefully in the weeks to come, you'll be able to see quite a bit of good stuff happening. We're pretty excited.
Good. Well, part of this is the guys that I work with, we all feel that a big reason stuff doesn't happen is there's a lack of money for those high risk investments as stuff transitions out. And we're I don't know how successful we'll be, but we're on target. Well, I shouldn't say on target. We're dreaming we can raise about 25 million that we could use as you know, stepping stones to seed rounds for companies to get up to speed that are you know, based on technology. So
Gotcha. Well, I would definitely like to follow up with you. We've got a organization. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. I'll give you guys a little bit of an update, but I would definitely like to follow up with you then.
Okay, Alan. Well, that sounds great. Well, I'm gonna shut my mouth and put my listening ears on. So thanks for letting me in.
Cool. Howard, why don't you let everybody, why don't you say hi? I think some of these folks won't recognize you because of last week. I mean, that weren't on from last week, not because of last week.
Lori Pipers. So just as a disclaimer, it is legally acceptable for me to drink wine because it's 7 o'clock here in Germany. And so therefore, Gutentag. And I want to share something with you is, and I know we're being recorded, so this will come back and bite me sometime. But, you know, I wanted to share with the group that I am an alcoholic. And this is the picture we took last week. Can you see that?
Yes.
We took this yesterday. So just to let you know, so this picture is a way of introduction of what we do. We're a company that Lori Piper has just immensely helped with all the things that we've done. And we broke the code. We now have found a new branch of the immune system that has never been described before. And so this is my friend Angelo, who runs the best restaurant in Frankfurt, Germany. And I think if any of you have seen our video, Paul Ehrlich, the famous Paul Ehrlich, the Albert Einstein of medicine, discovered antibodies, but he also discovered magic bullets. And so the reason why we're drinking in public spaces without masks, by the way, it costs us 40 euros each, is that we have found the magic targets to Paul Ehrlich's magic bullets. So this means that we now have tests for all diseases, including all pandemics and all cancers, neurologic diseases, Alzheimer's, everything, because we study the effect, not the cause. And it turns out that all these things cause the immune system, this new branch of the immune system we just discovered, to activate, and we have a test now to see it. And so it was worth the 40 euros. And the police were very nice. They gave us the ticket and we had to pay the 40 euros out of our pocket. But you know what? The two words that come to mind was worth it. So anyway, Lori said these were great lunches. I really enjoyed it last week. And the SBDC has been the greatest thing that I ever discovered in my life. The resources that happen, the amount of things and programs that we never knew existed have really catapulted us into international limelight. So we've put the Midwest on the map thanks to you guys. So thank you.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Jessica, we're just kind of going around letting everyone introduce themselves and tell a little bit about themselves if you'd like to.
Well, hello, I'm Jessica Elmore. This is my first Lunch and Learn. I think I was on a call with Lori Piper and she mentioned it, so I looked into it. So I totally don't know what this is about, but I recently launched a cross-cultural consulting company, and you know, as a new person, I definitely have a lot to learn. So I look forward to all the things that I will learn. Thanks.
Very cool. Let's see, we got Bill or William Carey.
I'm Bill Carey. I'm a small business owner, and I'm also work as the science advisor for the SBDC here in Kansas. So my actual engineering business is electrical engineering, and I've done a lot of work in the SBIR program, especially with DOD and also Department of Energy. And so that's where I come into this, and I try and help look for opportunities for companies and pair them up, send them things that they may or may not have seen, and help along the way in applying for funding.
Cool. Well, welcome, Bill.
Welcome.
Tom, are you willing to tell us who you are?
I was trying to go incognito today.
I know.
Tom Byler, I work for both the Washburn and Emporia State SBDCs. Split my week between those two centers. Also worked with Alan and Bill quite a bit in tech stuff.
Well, welcome, Tom. I'm glad you're here. Tom is, when I talk about what we're doing in just a few minutes, Tom is what we would call one of our tech coaches. At first, our business advisors, I think, were a little nervous about working with our clients, with our tech clients. And so we created a term, tech coach, to try to help our business advisors understand that for the most part, a business advisor is all they need to work with the tech center, our clients, because most of the time what our businesses need is they need someone to talk to, someone to go through, maybe edit or read through documents, give them an outside point of view from, we get a little stuck inside our box, if you will, at times. And so Tom is also at one time what we called a tech advisor. He actually has the SBIR, STTR background and knowledge. Bill has it up close and personal. He's won multiple SBIR and STTR awards, but Tom's the business advisor that can kind of span across both sides of that. Okay, I think we have one more. Sherry Geegan just joined us. Sherry, we were just asking everybody to kind of give us a little bit of who they are and what they're doing, if you'd like to talk.
Sure. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. I've got married and my last name is now Whitson, so I'm going to try to get everything updated, but it's a challenge. So I work at Wichita State University in the Strategic Initiatives Department, and enjoy working closely with all of the friends from the KSBDC, and especially helpful to me, Alan and Bill lately. So, and Vicky, of course. So, lost my train of thought, but we're working on the Air Force Collider event that's coming up in April, and our office provides assistance to technology ideas, technology-based ideas, and obviously SBIR assistance for people that are applying and need or would like some help.
Cool. Well, we'll after we get through doing the round table with everyone, I'll call back, ask you to give us an update, if you will. That'll be good.
Sure.
Let's see. I think we've got two more that we've not heard from. Robert Evans. I'm not sure I know Robert. Do I?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is I signed up for this, I want to say about 2 weeks ago, and this is actually the first meeting that I've actually been able to part of. But my name is Robert Evans. I am currently a system administrator with USDA. I am working out of the new facility there at InBath in Manhattan. And right now I am currently working, doing my own side business for IT consulting, essentially, is what it boils down to. I have done this before with previous jobs before working for the federal government. I worked for what they call an MSP, but a small service provider, or a managed service provider. What they do is they come in and essentially we get a look at your network and address any kind of issues, and we manage everything that needs to happen within your your computer network, from setting up servers, administrating firewalls, even down to the point of being an authorized reseller for Dell, and purchasing computers for businesses. And essentially, this is what my business model that I'm working towards. And this is what I would like to do closer towards retirement from out of the federal government. I am a vet also on top of that, and I have been possibly looking at doing state and federal contracting too, if possible. But depending on how the business grows and what opportunities come, essentially.
Very good. Well, welcome. Glad you're here. Hopefully this will be productive for you. One of the things we've asked everyone to do, so as we go through this, if you would like, what we'd like to have you do is go on the chat and give us your name, title, and contact information if you'd like to have that. And then what we'll do in our chat is we'll grab that and pull it back up. As we start moving forward, we plan to send the chat back out to everyone. One of our hopes in the Lunch and Learn is to do networking, cross-pollinating among yourselves, not just us giving information out to you. So please use this platform as much as you can so it works and benefits you as well. Jack, if you would, we're just asking everybody to go around and just give us a brief introduction.
Sure. I'm Jack Alston, Executive Director of Pottawatomie County Economic Development Corporation. As most of you know, part of Manhattan is in Pottawatomie County, and it's one of the fastest growing counties in the state, and median income levels are increasing at an increasing rate. It's the home of the Society of Pius X, which is building a 12-story Immaculata, valued, priced at $30 million, or $50 million, and construction has begun on that. And it will draw a lot of people to the area, including those that are moving to here via MBAP and its activities. So there's a lot of activity in our county right now.
That's pretty exciting. Congratulations. Let's see, Gibler.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dick Kibler. I work at the University of Texas, San Antonio in the Technology Commercialization Center. Many of you probably know Bijou Matthew, and Bijou's my boss, and joined the team about a month ago. So getting involved in all of the meetings and things that are going on. Right now, my focus is manufacturing. We're specifically looking at innovative manufacturers and not necessarily the same things that have been done before, but really looking at, who are those manufacturers that are making that next level step, where we can see that next level of technology. I got this invite about this meeting, very excited to attend. I was here last week and was very, very, very pleased about what was talked about. So glad to be here. I'm putting my information in the chat, so if you want to reach out to me or network, it'll be there, but that's me.
That's great. Welcome, Guilford. I think we've got Jessica.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jessica Irvin, and I am a tech advisor with the Oklahoma Small Business Development Center's Tech Launch Center. So our department is a lot like both Guilford and Allen's, and Glenna Wilson is also on here, and I expect Barbara Bonner Stevens, who's our regional director, to jump on shortly. But good to see everybody, and I'll put my information in the chat.
Great, thank you. Hello, Glenna. I think if I'm doing this right, I think you're the last one that hasn't spoken yet.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. I'm Glenna Wilson. I work under Barbara Bonner and Jessica Irvin at the Oklahoma SBDC Tech Launch Center, and I'm a new advisor with them. So I'm constantly on your meetings, learning, picking up tidbits, and it's super exciting and interesting.
Very good. Well, so I welcome everybody. I want to tell you that, and I've said this before, but part of, and if you see me looking off to the side, I'm trying to watch the people knocking on the door wanting to come in. What we're doing is we have been working behind the scenes in an insane pace, trying to get things ready to open the doors. In the last 4 years, we've been doing a lot of prep by working with our tech scouts with the Department of Defense. And Ann Dupuis is one of the results of that. She joined our cause the first year. We've asked her to speak to us today. I'm going to start because I want to go through what we're doing and run through it fairly quickly to give you an idea of what we're trying to attempt this year. The COVID has given us an opportunity as much as it has given us some threats, as kind of referring to our SWOT analysis. And one of those is the fact that we've got Rick Slater on from former Johnson Space Center with NASA. As some of you heard earlier and some of you didn't hear, we will begin next week with Rick going full speed in our Primes/NASA Primes initiative with our second week or our second track. This is what we call our first track, our DoD track, in its original format. It becomes somewhat of our, I would call it our general commercialization track along with DoD. And then the second week is our Primes NASA track. Our third week is our sole sourcing or our funding track, how we're trying to get funds to the clients. So that's basically what we've got going. And I'm going to look one more time. I think we're good. Bill, if you'll kind of watch in case some folks show up late. I'm gonna flip to our presentation right quick because I want to go through this where we can tell you what we're trying to get done. So give me a second, see if I can share this correctly. I think it's behind that screen. All right, everybody moved. So are you able to see commercialization for alternative markets? Good. Okay. So what we're doing is this year, as opposed to the last 4, where we've been working to get our minds around working with the DoD Tech Scouts and then putting together the getting everyone to support and work with us, including Oklahoma, Texas. We got some folks that work with us from South Dakota, Colorado, Nebraska, and Iowa. So we've got, and I'm pointing out the SBDC connections in those. We've got people from various states beyond those, but those are direct clients. So what we're doing is, in our effort with the CARES Act, we've got some additional funds where we are trying to basically move and assist in commercializing because of the economic impact of COVID. At first, it was going to be just working with existing businesses that had been impacted in a negative way with COVID. That is no longer the case. I think Congress, in their wisdom, going, we really don't want you allocating the CARES Act funds and working so hard to make sure it's an existing business. It just needs to be get out there and impact the economy. So it really opened us up. So what I'm about to share with you, we started working on this last year, and we sent out a survey. And in that survey, we were focusing on those that would qualify for CARES Act funding assistance. We created or implemented a plan called ICAP, that's the acronym, Innovation, Commercialization, Advancement Program. The idea is to help advance towards commercialization. So part of that is trying to actually help what I'm going to call a deep dive commercialization for our clients. In order to do that, we had to get a survey out. So I'm going to share with you the survey results just to give you a taste of what I think may be accurate. It's not a statistical sampling that probably qualifies, but it was an active from those that had responded to our survey. Now, this survey was sent out just to our Kansas innovators. Okay, so the first thing we said was, how would you describe your innovation technology status? Is it active? Is it paused, or is it closed? And what we got was 59, almost 60% said they're active. 28% said they were paused. And then we had 10%, that a little over 10% that said that they were not actually an innovation, but that they were an existing business. We then asked, if you're paused, why are you paused? We felt like this was an important issue to try to find how we can come back and try to help. And what we found was 50%, it was lack of funds. As you can imagine in your innovation, that seems to be very typical. It's a fund heavy challenge to try to move forward. And I've told folks before that most of our folks seem to be worried about the sharks, and the Shark Tank made that fairly popular. The problem is most of us in jumping in the innovation tank, if you will, to looking around for the sharks, most of our clients, in my opinion, will never meet or encounter the shark. They'll bleed to death if they're not careful from the leeches in the tank. And so one of the objectives of our SBDC is try to help protect you from the leeches. Now, I don't mean that necessarily in an intent way. It's more of people that are trying to help you that may not be helping you at the right time, or they may not be helping you at all by giving you pay for services that you might not need at that moment. So us as an SBDC, we want to try to get the timing right to where when you need that, which we'll go into in just a few minutes. We see some that it was lack of time. We realize that one of the things we figured out fairly quickly is everyone has a day job. And our first year, we had one of our clients called me, and I still remember the phone call. And he said, Alan, he said, this is so-and-so. And he said, I'm standing on an elevator. And he said, so I might cut out. But he said, I just left one surgery and I'm on my way to another surgery. I've got a question on what you sent out to us. And then he asked the question. When I got off the phone, I still get, I'm just this kind of person. I got weepy, I got misty, I started leaking because I thought, here's this guy that's his intelligence level and what he does blows me out of the water. But he's asking for commercial help in a way to try to help commercialize and move his innovation forward. And so I realized we've got a real job to do, and you do too. So we want to try to at least improve the time whenever you're ready to move back onto your innovation, where we can help make it move quicker. So then we ask if COVID had an impact on your business. We had 74% said yes, 26% said no. Now that is not reflective. That if I went back and asked that same group right now, I would bet that almost 100% would say it's impacted their business. This survey was done back in July of last year, or at least that's when we started it. That being that right now, I think the national average was among small businesses like 92 or 93%. So then we ask with the difficulties, what are they? And what we got was our number one was sales. And I think that's fairly obvious. Sales was impacted with probably everyone in some fashion. Now, some businesses improved because they were serving for COVID, alternative supplies or trying to remediate the effect of COVID. But for the vast majority, sales is a big impact. Supply chain and labor. Now labor may have been even higher at some point, with everyone being hit from time to time. Funding 26%, and then product innovation development 26%. So just giving you a little bit of an idea of some of the things that were hit at this time with COVID. Then we ask, are you interested in pursuing alternative markets that you're currently not in? And this is really where our CARES Act funding hopefully will help us. Hence, Rick being on the call with us today. He represents an alternative market that some of you probably would never consider, never think that it would make sense to. So we'll probably run out of time today, so you need to make sure to come back next week when Rick goes into detail launching that market. What is your TRL, or as Lori Moncrief likes to call it, the IRL, your technical readiness level? I'd like to have put this in a different chart, but I didn't have time, so I just left it as it was. But it's interesting that of our clients that responded, 31% were at a TRL 9. So we skipped TRL 8. We didn't get any at the TRL 8. We had a few at TRL 7, TRL 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you see, and then 10% in manufacturing, they don't have a TRL. So 41% basically are at a production stage they can produce. And then we get back to the TRL 7 and down. So we're about a 40-60 split of the clients that are in this commercialization activity. Is basically the way I see this. What is your legal structure? I think this is maybe for some of you it's of interest, so we did ask that. And what we got was fairly interesting. The LLC is quite popular, 54%, and then our corps, S Corp and C Corp, rounds that out, not quite complete, but almost, with the rest being the ones that haven't established yet. I left out the patent question, not on purpose. I did that accidentally. Whenever I reviewed this and it was time to go, I realized I had dropped the patent question. We ask if you have need or if you have your patent. And I don't remember the number, but we had a pretty good number that still needed assistance in patenting certain parts of their innovation. So I want to remind you this, for those of you that, and I don't know that this is new news to anyone here, but we have our 4th track, which will be a separate registration going forward. Okay, so up until this last week, you could register and we could all connect. There's been some confusion for some people, and so our 4th track, which is general commercialization, that track from the Bright Center at Washburn University with the SBDC there, they're going to separate the registration to make it more simple for those that aren't ready with the DoD, NASA, or our sole source contracting tracks. So they're going to be doing more and more of the things in general commercialization, including the IP for patent information. So that, just remember, as we get this on the website, you'll be able to see both. Okay. Any questions of what I've presented so far? I'll give it a second or two in case anybody has any thoughts. Okay, if you do, what was our response rate? Barbara wanted us. Now, Barbara, that's a tough question because we had tagged anyone that had ever shown interest, that had inquired on an SBIR or attended an SBIR program, webinar, or coming to one of the regional offices, those that had technical, those that had shown that had ever applied or come to work with us with an ideation, that type of thing. So what we ended up with was almost 10%. Now, I do believe part of our problem was this survey went out from our NeoSera program, and I now know that there's a pretty big bounce rate from server on spam effect, if you will. So we're going to go to all those that the respondents of this survey. We're going to go back to them. Now, these were existing businesses as we had it documented. We're going to go back to them, and this next week we're going to start talking to them. And what I want to share with you, what we're going to talk about is this assessment for the ICAP. We're going to ask you, have you developed a prototype? Some of that we should know based on your answers before, but we want to talk specifically about this because Lori Moncrief is going to be working with our clients through the CARES Act funding. And what we're going to do is we're going to do our best to use Lori to help us in commercialization tracks within the DoD spectrum. And so if we have 4 or 5 in one category, we will probably pick those that with the highest opportunity rate and start first, and then pick another track, because what she's doing is training myself, Bill, Tom, all of us as tech coaches. Jessica would be that, Glenna, Barbara, even Guilford. You guys would qualify in that regard. So what we're trying to do is train the trainer with a live case study with our clients. And so if we have too many in one category, we'll let her train us. That way we can do an inward reach to the rest of you. Because what we're trying to do is get as broad of a training and resource introduction with her. And so that's basically what will happen. So I am running out of time working with trying to get all this started. So I am thinking about sending this out to those that filled out the survey and say, can you fill this out for us? So I wanted to give you an example. We'll just use Bob as an example, not a real client. This is not reflective of Bob. So it's just a name. But we look at them with a range of 1 to 9 in their TRL or IRL, and they say they're at a 6. Have you developed a prototype? And they say their prototype is completed, so it's a score of 5. What is have you identified your market need? And they say, well, where they're working on it, they're not finished yet. So then you could score this, relatively speaking, how you need to. So they scored it as a 3. Patents complete. Okay, that's a 5. Have you hired your staff or identified? And in one of our real surveys, as I asked, the person said, I've got all of my staff identified, but they're working someplace else because I don't have the funds and we haven't started selling yet. So that's still that's important to know, because if you don't have your people identified, then what's your ramp up? And so that's what that is about, to where we can get a good score. Then we're going to add all that up to get a cumulative score. Well, I said I missed one. And then if you identified your funds, we need to know where you're at, or how you're looking with your fund situation, to where we can know how to assess you, to where we know what your needs are. Then we'll score that together. We'll use your TRL or IRL, and then your cumulative scored, like I said, as a tiebreaker in certain categories. So that's the first step. We want to go back now that we can work with anyone, and we want to do the same thing with those that are not started in their business. So if you know of some of your fellow innovators that haven't started, then we're going to send that that survey back out to those as well. We will probably try to do something like constant contact to get more people to complete this survey. I'm going to stop sharing because I want to take you over to another screen right quick. So see if I can do this right. I think I can. All right. Now, do you see these happy people smiling? All right. So what we have here is our new Kansas SBDC website that's under production. From this, you're supposed to be able to get to the different, in our case, our tech commercialization program. So you click there, and we're going to be hopefully eventually our lunch and learn and what's up to date, what's happening should land here. We're working on with our developers to where we can have a landing page of information for you. We anticipate going to LinkedIn and starting a LinkedIn for landing. So just to give you a heads up, so be watching for LinkedIn with us. But on this, one of the things you should be able to do is go to the Goldsmith model. If you haven't heard of it, then we need to do a better job of introducing it and getting it to you. But our Goldsmith model is really a gentleman who created the 3 tracks to help an innovator understand how they are able to commercialize their innovation or their product. There's a technical track going down, there's a market track, and then there's the business track. What I want to point out to you, I was talking with a client a couple of days ago, and they were like wanting to know what should they be doing next. And I said, well, first of all, I said, if you've not looked at this lately, I said, I'm going to encourage you to go to our website. Now, we should have 2 links here, and I don't see the other one, so I'm going to point it out to you. But this first one, Jack Harwell helped develop this using the Goldsmith model to make it fairly simple. So this is really a good overview. So what I'd encourage you to do is try to go through this and decide where you are on your technical track, on your market, and on your business. Once you do, and then you want to deep dive, you can deep dive with your tech coach. If not your tech coach, then you should be able to go into this deeper. One of the ways is Nebraska has the Nebraska SBDC there has taken this a step further, and I really like what they've done. So let's say in your technical feasibility, you're in engineering prototype, but over here under your market, you're at market study. You really haven't identified your customer. You just think you know who they are. And so if you click on the market study, what happens is they go into a better explanation. They give you a definition. They go further. Then they go into market activities and then key questions. So really, what I would encourage you to do is if you're at the market study and you're not sure what to do, read through this and then start looking at the questions and see if you can answer them. If you can't, then you need help. Now, going back to the tech commercialization and our Goldsmith model, in the case of the person I was talking to the other day, I said, what we normally see, and this is someone who's spending their own money right now, which is typical, right? And what we normally see is the client goes deep down or high, whichever way you want to look at this, they go down the technical track because that's what they know or what they think they know. And so they're going to run as far as they can on the technical track. And then generally speaking, their market track is probably where they are the lightest. And what we're wanting to help you understand, what we talked about a while ago about the leeches or spending money, if you spend all of your money in the technical track and you do nothing in market, and maybe you've got your business taken care of, you've got your IP, we hope, some bare minimums. As we saw a while ago, we got a lot of people with an LLC, we got some S Corp, C Corp stuff. So maybe you've taken care of the business track, but you've not done anything in your market track. There is a high likelihood that at the end of the road, you will own your IP and you'll have maybe some really pretty drawings or some prototypes and nothing else, and you'll get to set them on a shelf and you can look at them. What I'm trying to warn you about is what I think that Goldsmith did a good job of is he tried to put across here where you should be across all three. If you're lopsided and you're deep on technical and you've done nothing in the market, that should be a caution sign that you need to go back and do some work. Okay, we want you to get balanced. Our tech coaches want you to balance what you're doing. And if you're not, and you don't know what the answers are, then you need to be reaching out to us and asking those questions. Okay. Now, with that in mind, I am way over on time versus where I wanted to be. So I'd like to call on Ann Dupuis for a second to give us a, well, Sherry, before I do that, Sherry, could you give us a quick update? Because I don't know how long we'll go and I don't know what time you got to leave. Could you give us a quick update on McConnell or in the Midwest Collider?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So the application deadline for pitching at the event was Monday. Those have been submitted to the Air Force for review. And then in 2 weeks, they'll get back with us and let us know who they selected to pitch. For this particular event, we're also doing a kickoff day on the 27th that anybody can attend. So you don't have to be pitching at the event. It's open to anyone. And we're going to have several presenters that day. Apex, one of the Air Force programs that help individuals that are looking to apply for any type of Air Force SBI or AFWorks. And then Tech Warrior, which they're actually doing their semi-annual program the week before this, but they'll be speaking and talking about their events and how they can help you prepare for the next one and kind of how their events work to help you put your technology in action. And then let's see, PTAC, the Procurement Assistance Technology Center, and hopefully a program manager from the SBIR program with the Air Force. And then you would also have the opportunity to schedule one-on-one meetings with any of those that are presenting that day. So you could, one-on-one ask them questions about your technology and get some information on what you might need to do before you apply. So it's a really good lineup, and the opportunity to meet one-on-one with those folks is always, a pretty great opportunity for myself and any of you working on a product or service that you're planning to take to commercialization.
Sherry, will there be an overview or of the lineup of who's going to pitch at that on the 27th?
Actually, I'm working on the lineup right now, and we should have some marketing information going out early next week. So if anybody's interested and you're not already on our distribution list, or if you're interested, feel free to email me, or I can send the information to Alan, and Alan, you could get that out to all of the attendees.
Absolutely. We'll definitely make sure everybody knows. That's great.
Thank you.
Okay, so Ann, I think you're back. Ann replied to our survey, and we asked her, so we're not putting her we're putting her on the spot, but we asked her if she'd be willing to get put on the spot. So Ann, would you like to give us a little bit of an update as to, from the survey point of view, and how this is affecting you where you're at? You're muted.
Right, and so, I'm remembering that survey that you had, and I remember one of the early ones was prototype. Is it developed? We have had prototype developed for quite some time. It was tested over at Via Christi Regional Hospital, and it was designed by some NASA affiliated engineers that I was able to meet and get involved with the prototype. So we got off to a good start in that way. So moved forward then to a beta design. And without going into detail, I'd say that I did run into the phenomenon that you described so well of some leeches. So we kind of got stuck in a certain place where maybe somebody wasn't really able to fulfill everything that they said they would. So those are frustrating roadblocks. So then time goes on and you have to kind of regroup and find other people who seem to be a good fit, a little bit older and wiser. And so there was a downtime there, but the pandemic has brought more opportunity because my product is in infection control. So when this popped up, there were some good folks that I'd met years ago who wanted to just like, let's go forward. Let's just start now and take it forward. I had gotten previously before them the product to a 7, and that's where we were kind of stalled out for a little while. And so their goal was to bring in the resources and the talent to get us on up to 8 and then to 9. And one of them on the East Coast, some folks I'd met previously, one of them is an engineer who has worked at the CERN in Switzerland. So he's got a PhD in physics and, you know, a real technology whiz. The other one is from Georgetown in marketing. So I feel like they've really got chops and they're very excited about it, and they've put enough money in to let us keep going.
So I've got a question. Let me ask you a quick question. And I'm catching you off guard on this, but is there any recommendation, or how did you end up networking where you found these people?
You know, believe it or not, it was social media. Just a little bit by chance, in that I believe it was LinkedIn or Facebook or something like that. So, you know, I just enjoy meeting people on Facebook. A lot of times for, you know, just getting to know people, sometimes puppies and kitties like everyone, but, you know, if I've got to know these people pretty well, I can tell their values. And that was really important to me, that, you know, we're really on the same page in terms of how we approach life and a certain amount of honesty and such. And so just built a relationship over many years that I had met them previously in person. And so
okay.
Time to say go, I said, I'm going. You know, go ahead and take their investment money and share equity and all that, become partners. And
so where are you at now with your product, with your innovation?
Right today, it's in UL testing. So we had the first part of the testing on Wednesday and it passed. And so there's another part of the testing that's going on today in New York. And so I think it's, you know, going well. From there, once we pass, there's another level of development on some software. And then from there, it's putting the product together. We've done some good amount of marketing. So we do have some very interested customers waiting for us. I will go step back a second and say we did have a lot of patents in place, a good amount, 5 US patents to protect various aspects of the concept. And we did get to one of the things that helped us start again was a pretty good license deal. So licensing our technology concept into the elevator market. So there's a company out there, they're building their own version of the product using our intellectual property. And they're really good partners. So I'd say that was the good part, was in both cases finding people that I believe are going to work very hard and do what they say they're committed to do.
Well, congratulations. I wasn't sure. I don't think I knew that. That's good. That's cool to know that you've been able to license it out as well. So how long have you been going with this? Are you willing to tell us?
Oh, well, I know I started when it was a very impulsive thing to do. but I just really gained information that UVC light eradicates germs, and I didn't really know that prior. I didn't know that prior to that. I was working in neurofeedback and neurotechnology, so I was doing life sciences, working with technology and sensors. And when I heard that like nobody had ever automated UVC light for use in enclosed spaces, I just called a patent attorney and filed the first patent, and now it was 10 years ago. So, you know, most people would have done that differently. But then I just kept going and learning more and keeping, I'd say curiosity has almost killed the cat, but not quite, so.
All right, I'm going to put you up on the chopping block and see if anybody has any questions for you. If you have a question, if you'll open your video, wave, or talk, but you'll have to unmute if you're muted. Any questions from anyone? Okay.
I have a question for you, Ann.
Okay.
Maybe a personal question, but how many times along the way did you thought about giving up? Because I'm sure every innovator has asked themselves that question.
You know, believe it or not, never. I had sometimes I had to take a pause and regroup, but it was the darndest thing. For some reasons, one was my dad was a medic in World War II, and he really, I heard all my life that there's going to be a day when antibiotics would no longer work. And in fact, and then my mom was an early administrator at MD Anderson Hospital. And there was a similar thing all the time growing up. I heard about, they would talk about the battle of the staph. By staph, I mean staphylococcus. And so, you know, it was always something I had heard about all my life. And so this kind of fell in a very unusual way to me that I found out about it. And it happened also on my 50th birthday. It just felt like, boom, this is yours to do this. And I didn't really ever question it.
That's pretty cool.
It's interesting.
So when do you think your first sale will be, product-wise?
Right, okay, so I would look around early June.
What'd you say?
Probably early June.
Okay.
As we have a couple of versions of the product. One is going to be, we call it a rapid deployable product. So it's something that perhaps can be used with Homeland Security or something where you need to move quickly, get something into a room and get it going. And so it does the same function. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles. Then the next version of the product is fully automated, so you can equip on an entire facility or a floor or larger spaces. So we call it the minimum viable product should be out pretty soon.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I know you've been on almost every Lunch and Learn we've had, so you're one of the most loyal. I certainly hope that this becomes a very fruitful result for what you've been through. This has been a long, I don't think you're unusual. You're probably a lot of our innovators walk down that long winding road trying to get where they're going.
Well, I believe with all my heart that networking with trusted people and developing relationships with others is just always the way to go. So I appreciate all your work.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you guys, all of our innovators. It's a pretty cool, exciting track. Well, I think we're done with what I wanted to share with you. What I want you to understand is that we've got a lot of commercialization opportunities coming this way. I said a few years ago that what we're doing and what we're seeing with DoD and other institutions, that you either see it as chaotic or dynamic. And I'm going to choose to believe it's a little of both at times, but for the opportunities coming, I think we're going to see it pretty dynamic. What we're going to try to do with Rick Slater, he'll start talking next week. We're going to reach out to all of those that attended our August 2019 event and try to get as many of those companies that attended and others to attend. It will be an interesting takeoff for what we've been working on. And then and Rick is actually helping us on our sole source as well, because he was working with a company that we've discovered as one of the opportunities for sole source contracting through the SBIR program. So we will be, that's the third week. So today, next week, Rick with NASA, and then the week after that will be Mike. Some of you may remember him with FTI. He'll be back with a presentation, and this time we're getting much more specific in how some of our companies can possibly work with them. And there are other companies like them that are similar with different opportunities within the SBIR. So if your innovation technology does not fit with FTI, understanding the process and what they're doing can be very beneficial, because we're going to use them as our first go by, but we want to be able to pull up other organizations that are doing similar stuff. And at the same time, Laurie Moncrief is working on other funding opportunities besides the SBIR Phase 3 as a sole source. So that will be what we'll be doing in that track going forward. All right. Any questions or comments?
I have one.
Yeah, go Bill.
I would just say, many of you probably understand this, but for those of you that aren't familiar with it, I mean, Alan and I work with the Tech Innovation Center here at the Kansas SBDC, but you think about the Goldstein model that he presented and the 3 different tracks. Mainly our focus is to be able to help kick you down the road in certain areas on the technology track. But the actual SBDC advisors and other help that you're getting from other places, they're a more general business help. And we try and work together on that. We're not trying to compete for you as a client or anything like that. If we can help you move at certain places where you're stuck on the technology and the funding levels, but a lot of what you need help in or may need help in businesses and marketing, and which is a little bit of what we do, but in the general business area, we stay out of a lot of that. So we're just trying to open doors as we can in the technology areas and funding, and also we spend a lot of time talking to people and helping them see how their technology relates to areas that they may not have ever dreamt of. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with somebody on the phone and they say, well, so-and-so said I should call you, and I don't even know if I really fit. And they tell me for 10 or 15 minutes about their technology. And then they say, well, but I don't see how that relates to DOD or relates to NASA or other things. And I usually just ask them a couple of questions and say, hey, could your technology be applicable to helping in something like this? Well, yeah, of course. And all of a sudden the scales fall off and they say, I should be at this conference, or I should be at this webinar, or I should be talking to that person, shouldn't I? Yeah, you really should. That's a lot of what we try and help with. So, but we are not taking away at all from all the other areas of assistance that you're getting from other SBDC people or PTAC or WSU, strategic initiatives, or anybody. Okay.
So Rick, you want to give us a quick overview or a pitch for next week? What a teaser?
Sure. The what we're gonna try to give you an idea of is how NASA is structured where the doors might be open, and more importantly, introduce you to the people at each one of the NASA centers that you can contact to start to find out where events, virtual and hopefully soon in person, are going to be. But certainly, how is it that we're going to be able to, you're going to be able to connect? And that also includes connecting with the primes. And so that's what next week is really all about. It's also going to be talking about what we plan on doing for subsequent Fridays with we're calling the NASA track. And in doing that, I want to take what I present next week for NASA, and I also want to start looking at the other agencies that are out there and putting together a shorter but same type of pitch so that people actually know where those doors are open. And of course, when it came to the small business group that I was with, we were always the door that was open. And so we had to go and find things. So if somebody called us and said, hey, I do such and such, who would I talk to? We would know where to point them. And in many cases, we would help make those connections for them. So that's really what I'm going to be talking next week. Now, going forward, we're looking into right now. One of our primary things is to identify procurement opportunities, no matter where they are, and present them to you, but present them in a way that's easy for you to get to. And what we're planning right now is to have the SBDC website have a place where every week we'll populate opportunities that we've been able to dig and find out. And sometimes they're nothing more than an industry day where one of the agencies is going to do a certain type of procurements. And over the next 6 months, they're going to be doing construction procurements or something like that. And they're going to have an industry day. We will have that on the website, and we're going to reach out to everyone, and we'll have an email that says, hey, click here, and it will take you to those opportunities. That's one thing that we really feel is going to be good. We're going to have small business speakers who've been successful in getting contracts. And this one's really important because if you ask anyone at NASA who's become successful, it was a small business, the way that they were able to do it was to network. And there's ways of networking that work. There's ways that don't work all that well. And we're going to have a series of speakers, and just real short, maybe 10 minutes or so, and just talk about what they had to do to be successful and how they reached out. And honestly, many of these are going to talk to you about how they reached out, they connected at various events, things of that nature. But then they ended up getting work. Most of the time, they didn't get work with NASA. They got work with other people. And so we'll have sort of a guest speaker series in there. Preparing clients is one of the things that we're going to have in there. And it's prepping clients to present to primes and agencies. And we did this at NASA at many of our events where we'd have a panel most of the time. And we'd have a panel of the large prime contractors, and they'd be the small business liaison officers who are our prime, and they're your prime POCs. And what they'll do is they'll talk about the do's and don'ts, what they're looking for, how they actually reach out and look for companies. And probably the thing that was always the most important is how you approach them and the information you need to have once you start talking with them. That became probably the most important thing that came out of those sessions. We'll also have talk about key points that need to be put into your different presentations and that resonate with the SBLOs, and the SBLOs are going to talk about that. One of the things on a yearly basis, and right now we're planning on July, is to have a matchmaking event. It'll probably be virtual now, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. And it's going to take pretty much in the next 3 or 4 months just to begin to put it together. And instead of a typical matchmaking event where we invite people, hey, if you'd like to talk to folks, you know, you've got large primes and you've got small businesses, just give us your NAIS codes or NAIS codes you're looking for, and we'll do the matching for you. Well, we did this at NASA all the time, and it was marginally successful. The only thing that really helped was that people were able to talk to each other, and so it was hit or miss as to how much business they got out of it. So we changed over, and actually COVID kind of stopped us from our last July event. And the plan was, and we were actually halfway done preparing for it, reached out to all the primes and found out what they actually wanted to speak to small businesses about. What are their needs? And we went one step farther, and that was to talk to the engineers. And there were a couple of the primes that I had talked to the engineers. And honestly, getting engineers to come to the table with these matchmaking events is next to impossible. And they'll be the first ones to tell you, if it's a hit or miss, throwing people together in these matchmaking things, it's a big waste of our time. That's exactly what they all told me. So we changed it a little bit, and I said, all right, how about you tell me what types of needs you have, and we'll go ahead and create a matrix with the small businesses that we have. And we had about 900 in the small business group in Houston. And I will put a matrix together. You go down through that matrix, you tell me who you want to talk to, and I'll make sure that the matrix has enough information that you can get a good feel whether or not it's worth your time to speak to them. And the engineers, being the most difficult to work with, said, if you do that and we can select the ones we want, we'll be there. And so that's, and there's other details with it, but in essence, that's what we're going to do to make the matchmaking event hopefully a success, because you'll have people who, the engineers will come, and the engineers will be able to actually make a connection with those small businesses. So that's a big one that we've got. Also, we want to do some training that preps the small businesses when they're starting to work with some of the larger primes, like the Lockheeds, and in my world, it was Lockheeds and Jacobs and Raytheon. And some of the things that the primes often will tell me is, we found a couple of companies and they're very good technically, they know exactly what they're doing, but when it comes to creating products, working with procurement in our primes, they really are not used to doing it, and they make some missteps that often they'll respond to an RFQ and there's just no way for us to work with them. Another one is working with quality codes. And of course, that's the documentation for the deliverables. And if the small businesses aren't familiar with, they'll train them a little bit, but if they're not familiar with how to do it, often they've worked with a small business once, and then there's all kinds of problems with the documentation, and they just can't work with them again. And so what we want to do is have those prep sessions with everyone prior to that matchmaking event. And I think that pretty much hits the high points there.
This is
Alan?
Carl. If I could just interrupt for a second, Richard.
Yeah.
Sure.
You're in such a flow. I hate to say anything, but you're just like, you're talking to me one-on-one, my friend. I'm an engineer. I ran an engineering consulting business, and I did work for the DOD, mainly in Kansas at Fort Leavenworth and Fort Riley. And I am just like clicking with everything you've said. It was so hard for us. We'd go to these things, and it was like we'd talk to 50 different people, and none of them could help us, and we just quit doing it. Yeah. And so I'm very excited to hear what you're describing. And if I'm picking and hearing, if I'm hearing things correctly, which sometimes I don't, that's what you're going to talk about more next week.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably first half of it is say, how's NASA constructed and where the people you can talk to.
Well, all that,
and then we'll get to the other part.
I need to run, but yeah, I just wanted to tell you, that's really exciting. I did reach out on LinkedIn, and you're on there, but it doesn't look like you're active. So if you maybe check your LinkedIn, I sent you an invite, and I'd really like to talk to you one-on-one if there's some way we could do that. So
let's do it. Be happy to.
Great. My contact info is actually in the chat session.
Okay.
So if you're savvy, you can pull up the chat and kind of see where I'm at. But and I apologize, I got to duck out. I'm over my lunch.
We're a little bit over on our time, so I appreciate that, Carl. Yes, we will follow up.
Yeah, but Alan, I appreciate that. I sent a couple pings on LinkedIn to a couple others. Anne really appreciated your conversations. The whole patent thing, I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. And the licensing, those are both big deals. And, Jack, you brought in at the beginning. I heard a couple of things I'm interested there. I'm just, and Bill, you're obvious. I reached out. I didn't find you on LinkedIn actually, but I got your contact info out of the chat. So I'll be talking to you guys specifically a little bit more, but especially Richard, I got to tell you, I've been on the other side of that table for 20 years. And let me just, so this is my joke, right? Those are the two fingers I lost in those conversations, because unlike Ann, I was at wit's end probably 10 times a year. I was at wit's end. On Monday morning, I'd have to make payroll on Thursday, and I'd look at my bank balance and I'd have $50,000 to go. And, every Tuesday I'd be like, oh man, what am I going to do? And I'm like, well, I'm not sure I want to be in this business anymore. But I didn't actually do the engineering. I did the admin. So I had to manage the cash flow and help get in the business. So anyway, great meeting. Alan, thanks for putting it on. And again, I got to run. So thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. So the big thing I want to ask everyone is bring somebody with you, or tell a few others as we get started. We're just now starting the commercialization tracks based on what Rick was talking about. Jack, if for those of you that are in economic development, if you'll tell your other folks, we'll send out, we're going to start publicizing now that we're starting. And so we'll do our best to try to get it to you. Our website, you saw, hopefully our information will start landing on there. They're reconstructing the main site. So the tech tab's going to be a little bit, but we're going to try to use LinkedIn and then emails and then our website to get the word out as we get started.
What I would do is get a hold of the Kansas Economic Development Association list.
Okay.
Andrew Navy in Wichita he was chair. I think it's Steve Jack now, or maybe even Matt.
Hey Jack, why don't I do this? Did you put your information on here?
Yeah.
Okay, I've grabbed it. I'll send you an email, and if you can follow up with me on that, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Right. I very much appreciate you attending. We're looking forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate
he was right. It's Steve Jack.
Okay.
Steve Jack.
Thanks, Chris. Well, I do appreciate each of you. As I feel like we're just barely starting on a whole new track of work, but it's going to be direct to what Bill was talking about. What we're doing is we're looking for customers, and we're going to try to short sheet that market track for you in certain ways. So get as many as we can in there. on a broad scale. And then we're going to specifically pick clients that we have a matchup and try to get them accomplished and use those as our live case studies for us as our tech coaches, and then case studies for you as they allow us, where we can let them be public examples for the rest of you. So hope you all make it a great weekend, stay healthy, and hopefully tell others, and be back next week as we launch this NASA track. Take care.
Hey, thank you, Alan.
Thanks, Rick. Enjoy the sunshine there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love your background.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, it's cloudy today, so.
What's funny is for a while, you looked like you were zoomed way back. It looked like you were sitting on the beach about 20 feet away from your camera. If you would have just, you got that breeze there, if you just put a fan in the background and let your hair ruffle a little bit, then it would have been just totally deceptive.
Well, I'll just have to do that next time.
Yeah, really.
Good to talk to you. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,
You guys
bye.
take care.
Bye now.
Alan, you going to stick for a minute?
Yeah, I can hang. Oh, let me stop let's see. You want to stop? Yes. Do you want to stop? Do you want to stop the cloud recording?